Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Dion, and today we are going to be covering the aesthetic known as indie sleaze. So this aesthetic has been commented on my YouTube channel so many times. You guys keep asking me to do indie sleaze, and this weekend when I was preparing and writing my script for my video this week, I was like, what is indie sleaze? Because for me, it looks just like the general umbrella term of the hipster from like 2006 to 2012-ish. Then I read 4 articles and watched a bunch of TikToks and realized it is just what we called the hipster back then.
I'm a trend forecaster, and there's an obscene amount of evidence that the indie sleaze Tumblr aesthetic is coming back, and we need to talk about it. Indie sleaze took off in the early 2000s, so following the 20-year trend cycle, this isn't too far off. Some key characteristics from this trend were provocative advertisements, amateur-style flash photography, opulent displays of clubbing, bonus points for watermarked photography. If you read Megan Fox's nonsensical Instagram caption, it reads like it was straight from a Tumblr quote. Also, the rise in outdated technology. Back then it was typewriters and Polaroid. This time around it's wired headphones and phone cases that mimic outdated technology. Mashups were really huge during indie sleaze, and TikTok has single-handedly brought back mashups into mainstream culture. Same way we saw Y2K and Mick Bling styles absolutely take over the last couple years. Pendulum will swing back to indie sleaze, hipster in the next couple years.
I think now when we think hipster, we think of like Ray-Ban Wayfarer sunglasses, we think of mustaches, but so much of what you guys are calling indie sleaze is actually what was just considered hipster. And then under the hipster umbrella, there was like twee, grunge, scene, like other things. This like indie sleaze is just kind of picking and choosing the best of the hipster vibes in the 2010s and turning it into a new aesthetic, which I just think is so interesting. So if you like videos on fashion aesthetics and everything, please make sure you subscribe to my channel because I post videos every Thursday. With that, let's get into it. So this aesthetic has been in the trends forecast for about 2 or 3 years at this point, and it makes sense. So many of us are saying it's too soon, but if we think that indie sleaze, from the articles that I've read, the earliest that people said indie sleaze started was 2002, and the latest people said it went on was 2012. So we're gonna work within that decade framework, which, it being 2022, it would make sense that the beginning of indie sleaze is going to come around in the next 3, 4, 5 years. It makes sense in the 20-year trend cycle. We did like 90s, we did Mick Bling and Y2K in early 2000s, and now that we're in the going towards the mid 2020s, it's going to be 2023 in December, we are now going back to the mid 2010s. Harper's Bazaar described it as a period between 2002 and 2012. And during this time, I was between the ages of 8 and 16. I would say really my fashion era was like the Tumblr 2012 to 2016 era, because that was high school for me was 2010 to 2014, and college was 2014 to 2018. So that was really like when I had the opportunity to buy my own clothes, dress myself, etc. Obviously before high school, most of us don't have jobs because it's not legal, and most of us our clothes are being bought by our parents or with our parents or whatever. It's not really until high school that we actually get to really express ourselves in our style. So I didn't participate that much in indie sleaze just because I was quite young, and I also scrubbed before college all of my Facebook and Instagram of like embarrassing photos of me from middle school and early high school. So when I went to college, people didn't see that. And then in 2020, I deleted my Instagram that I had since high school. So most evidence of me prior to 2011 is completely erased. However, I did scrub my Tumblr from May of 2013, because, you know, even though it ended in 2012, I think things like bleed into it, obviously. And I got my Tumblr in 2011. So I do have some photos, some evidence of me during the indie sleaze time frame. But again, my teenagehood, my style is much more Tumblr. Right now I am dressing very much how I wish I dressed. Ooh, I had a chain belt on, but it was a little bit uncomfy. Back in the indie sleaze era, I was obsessed with the show Skins and like Cassie and Effie's style. So this is very much an homage to Cassie. That's like what I want to say, is that even though I was a bit too young to like actually participate in the sleaze part, going out, partying, clubbing, I still was like on Tumblr and consuming the music and the media of that time. A lot of my friends were older than me. My best friend in middle school was like very much an old soul and like started like smoking cigarettes at like 12 and doing cocaine at like 13. Sorry, Dad. And I didn't participate in those things, by the way. I was a very good kid. But and she went to art high school. So my friends were much more a part of it. Like my two best friends were a year and 2 years older than me. My brother is 7 years older than me. And my middle school best friend, even though she was my age, was much more wild and acted older than me. So I was very much adjacent to the indie sleaze movement. Not to sound like an actual hipster, which was like such a cringe thing. Be like, oh my God, you sound like such a hipster. Everybody called me a hipster in high school, which is so funny. But my brother got me into like the Strokes, Arcade Fire, Arctic Monkeys back like when I was really, really little. Like I've been listening to the Strokes since I was in like pre-K because my brother's a drummer and he's 7 years older than me. So in terms of like pop punk and alternative rock, I got a very early education in that. So the Killers, the Strokes, Cage the Elephant, Tame Impala, like all of those bands I had been listening to for a very long time. So I love indie sleaze music, at least the rock portion of it. My best friend in middle school was obsessed with the Arctic Monkeys and Neutral Milk Hotel and Wilco. I loved the Strokes and the Killers and Vampire Weekend. So I definitely was part of the music scene. Music taste in general is very alternative. I saw Lana Del Rey in concert in 2012 and in 2014, and I saw Vampire Weekend twice in 2013. An article from the magazine Dazed said that indie sleaze is grubby, maximalist, and performatively vintage. The indie sleaze movement coincided with the height of MySpace and the entrance of Tumblr. And I feel like with so many of the aesthetics that are going to be coming on, basically like after the 90s aesthetic, so when we will go into Y2K and onward, all of the fashion aesthetics are directly influenced by internet technology. So the McBling era was all about the blingy flip phones, showing off your new flip phone, your BlackBerry, etc. Early 2000s, people were into flash photography with their digital cameras, which we see a lot in the indie sleaze movement. People started getting iPhones, and so you started taking pictures of that. MySpace was really popular in like 90s McBling, early 2000s, and with indie sleaze, we're going more into like leaving MySpace, going more into Facebook and into Tumblr. I would say like we have the Y2K aesthetic, which let's just say 90s aesthetic is like 1985 or 86 to 95. Y2K is like 96 to 2002, and that includes like McBling. McBling is more like, I would say 2000 to 2006. Indie sleaze, I would say, is like 2004 to 2010. A lot of people say indie sleaze ended with the Bush years, and the Tumblr era was like 2010 to 2015. The Instagram era was between 2015 and 2020. And now we are in the TikTok era. So that's how I break it up. Esther Zuckerman from Thrillist said, if you're a late millennial in a major metropolitan area, it will probably make you think of high school or college, drinking Sparks and listening to MIA's Euler. You might have attended a misshape set, you bought Nylon magazine, you wore bright hoodies and headbands and gold lame shorts, you read Hipster Runoff. An article in Vogue UK also said that another piece of evidence that indie sleaze is coming back is the rise of like grubbier men. So back in the indie sleaze era, we had like Alex Turner, Pete Doherty, the lead singer of Oasis that I can't think of right now. Now we have people like Machine Gun Kelly and Pete Davidson, and like being the new kind of grubby, sleazy men, which interesting. I didn't think of that, but that made sense. It's a good, like, concise way of saying what indie sleaze is. This is Isabel Sloan for Harper's Bazaar. Just over a decade ago, the hipster reigned supreme. These paragons of coolness could easily be sussed out by their American Apparel gold lame leggings, side-swept bangs, Richie Tenenbaum headbands, and tank tops with craterous armholes that dipped all the way down to the hip bones. They listened to Bloghouse, an obscure music genre that mashed up indie, disco, and rave. They read Hipster Runoff, a stream of consciousness site run by a mysterious pseudonymous blogger named Carls. They partied frequently while dancing the night away to electropop bands with perplexing names like New Young Pony Club and Simeon Mobile Disco. The attendant debauchery immortalized forever through amateur flash photography posted online the next morning. Indie Sleaze feels very vague, but also super specific at the same time. It's American Apparel ads, flash photography, Urban Outfitters, Ed Banger Records, and Nylon Magazine, and MySpace. For media references of Indie Sleaze, I would honestly watch Portlandia, which is just really encompasses what the 2010 hipster was, and I would watch Skins. I think those would give you really the two opposite ends of the spectrum of what encompasses Indie Sleaze. It gives you the put a bird on it, mustache, hipster, craft brewery, etc. Part of Indie Sleaze, and it covers the partying, cocaine, drugs, etc. part of Indie Sleaze. My eye makeup was very much inspired by Effie Stoneham, aka blue and black glitter eyeshadow, no bronzer, barely any blush, and a brown lip. Very Indie Sleaze. Icons of the Indie Sleaze aesthetic, and there were so many, so if I don't mention your faves, I can't sit here forever and name every single blogger from 2006, so calm down. But our Sky Ferreira, Zoe Kravitz, Kesha, the Olsen twins, Alexa Chung, Corey Kennedy, Y2K party girls like Paris Hilton, Nicole Richie, and Lindsay Lohan were also sort of bleeding into this scene. And a lot of musicians that were the backbone of this aesthetic, like The Strokes, the Ting Tings, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, 303, Metro Station, The Killers, and photographer Mark Hunter, aka the Cobra Snake, who captured it all. When you see Indie Sleaze on Pinterest, Tumblr, and TikTok, really what you're seeing are photographs captured by Mark Hunter. Everybody wanted to be on the Cobra Snake. That was like the height of 2008 fame. Bands that really embodied the Indie Sleaze movement were Urban Outfitters, American Apparel, Betsy Johnson, and in terms of designers, I would say like Vivienne Westwood and Alexander McQueen, and maybe even Mulberry, just because Mulberry came out with the Alexa bag, which was named after Alexa Chung in 2007, so in the Indie Sleaze area. Likes were partying, MySpace, Facebook, and Tumblr, flash photography, doing slutty poses and like slutty captions, and being overall provocative. I was watching a video on Indie Sleaze on TikTok, but I couldn't download it, so it's not in this video. But she was like, Indie Sleaze, it's definitely slutty. It was a slutty time period, and that is very true. Dyeing their hair, making out, getting ready to go out. It was really about just being like debaucherous, honestly, and like posting it online. Staples of the Indie Sleaze aesthetic are glitter, smudgy eye makeup, tights under everything, bonus points if they're ripped or lace or have a pattern on them, exposed lingerie, random accessories, lots of jewelry, graphic tees, Aztec print and Native American motifs, which we'll get to, Arab scarves, which we'll get to, Jeffrey Campbell Litas, shutter shades, studded everything, dark wash skinny jeans, white granny socks, faux leather loafers, an oversized graphic tee, accessorized with pearls, cross necklaces, bow headbands, and yes, mustaches. In the article from Dazed, they said, pulling from the 80s as much as they did 90s grunge, capturing all the hedonism with spontaneous and provocative flash photography. It was a mishmash buffet of chucking, smearing, and clashing, and its lotus stone was American Apparel. This I remember in middle school, which for me was 2007 to 2010. I was obsessed with the 80s. We did Fame for our drama club. I went to American Apparel all the time and bought like off the shoulder tops. I wish I had more photos of me in my 80s era. I was obsessed with the 80s. And then going into high school, I was more into pale grunge. So it definitely, this era was very much 80s and 90s. Again, 20-year trend cycle. So this was like 2006-7. So we're dressing like it's 1987. When it was 2010, we're dressing like it's 1990, you know? Alrighty, so now I'm gonna go through, I asked on my Instagram, as always, what you guys thought of the Indie Sleaze aesthetic, and now I am going to go through what your answers were and what you guys thought of this aesthetic. If you don't already, please follow me on Instagram because you guys will be able to participate. So, first question I asked was, have you heard about Indie Sleaze? 42% said yes, 57% said no. And I said, given the 20-year trend cycle, it makes sense that 2006 to 2012 recession chic is back. How do you feel about it? 6% said it is uggo. 39% says it seems a bit too soon. 22% says, is this even an aesthetic? And 33% said, fun, cute, tacky, and maximalist realness. I asked for your favorite indie sleaze celebs, artists, etc. We have Karen O, Gaga, Lady Gaga, Santi Gold, MIA, the Yeah Yeahs, Kesha, Alexa Chung, Banks, the artist. Then they feel like a modern take would be Emma Chamberlain, which I don't know. I don't really follow her that much, so I couldn't super speak on that. Someone said the Metro Station Control music video is like the peak of indie sleaze. Lady Gaga Just Dance music video, the Ting Ting, Sky Ferreira, Chloe Cherry, which is interesting because she's more of a new contemporary celebrity. Kate Moss was definitely all in this aesthetic because she dated Pete Doherty. Anyone that was photographed between 2009 and 2012 with Cobra Snake. Somebody else said Alexa Chung again. And then I asked, what are some indie sleaze must-haves? American Apparel leggings in some wild color or metallic, headband across the forehead. I didn't realize how often I wore a headband across the forehead until I looked through my Tumblr. Kill myself. Messy hair, glitter, button-ups, ripped jeans, messy makeup, boots, dark colors, lots of rings, Doc Martens, ripped tights, band tees, a messy bun, oversized sweater, American Apparel, lots of jewelry, smudgy eyeliner, graphic tights, graphic baby tees. You guys, I was just watching that part of the video where she pulls down her lip and she puts XO on her lip because that lip tattoo is really common. And I hate to break it to everyone, but I do have a lip tattoo. It says ghouls. It's from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is such a millennial thing to say. I got it with my best friend. Hers stayed, mine did not, but I did technically do the indie sleaze lip tattoo of something stupid on the inside of your lip. I am the evil that lives inside the house. It's like so all over the place. It's hard to kind of describe. And then I said, like, tell me real deal how you feel about this aesthetic. Someone said, I have nostalgia for the music. The fashion was also getting fun after the uncoolness of the Mick Bling era, which I think Mick Bling is kind of cool, but I do get that Mick Bling was very much like popular girl core of 2002 to 2008 or 2006, and this is much more alternative 2002 to 2010 sort of vibe. Someone said, I loved it. I felt like it was so self-expressive and chic. It was weirdly feminine and androgynous at the same time, and it's also weirdly timeless. And I do get that because of the mismatch of like vintage pieces with contemporary pieces and cheap and tacky and grunge and girly, that like it, because it's nothing, it's also everything. And because it's no gender, it's every gender, and because it's no time, it's every time. I get that. Someone says, loves it, but it's too soon. Another person said, I didn't even know it existed. Another person said, I honestly love it. Maybe not for every day, but it's fun. LOL, how we used to dress every day. So cringe. Look at this with the headband across with my army green studded shirt. Look at the studs on the shoulders. And I am not kidding when I said I remember specifically taking these photos, editing them, and posting it on Instagram with the caption, I got a war in my mind. Don't do Lana Del Rey, kids. Not even once. The last person said, loves it, but can't have too much of it or else it's try-hardish. So having lived through this aesthetic from the most part, I know it was on the younger side, but I do have some criticisms. One of which is the partying aspect of it. So many of the icons of this aesthetic, like Kesha, Lindsay Lohan, the Olsen twins, etc., are sober now, had a very hard time recovering, and after all the drinks were gone in the music phase, and they realized like blackout drunkenness is dangerous, and I'm a little bit hesitant to glorify this like Metro Station 303 Kesha era because I've lost literally 5 people to drug and alcohol overdoses who were all under 25 at the time of death. I grew up in Miami. I no longer drink alcohol. I stopped drinking alcohol when I was 20. Like, the reality of what you saw, these cocaine binges, these crystal meth binges, these alcohol binges, like the aftermath is truly like addiction, being arrested, like ruining your life. So I am very like, because I don't drink alcohol, seeing this glorification of consuming alcohol honestly grosses me out. I couldn't find it, but I saw this TikTok that was like, all music in the 2010s be like, and it's like, we're young, we're drunk, we're smoking crack. Like, it's just like crazy. And it's all, I mean, like, all the music I remember I'd be dancing to at bar mitzvahs were just like about like heavy drinking. And I'm not gonna go on like an anti-alcohol like rant right now, but alcohol is literally poison. It is poison. There's no health benefits to it. There are only health detriments to alcohol. And we're glorifying it. And it's legal when a plant in the ground is illegal. That has no health detriments and has only health benefits. Fuck that. Whoa, I didn't think I was gonna catch that. Other criticism that kind of falls under this partying aspect is that it was more towards like 2012, 2015 on Tumblr, but this was still really popular, especially because the skinny heroin chic body was incredibly popular at this time. But the like glorification of mental illness and like drinking away the pain or doing drugs away the pain, very Effie Stoneham, very Cassie, being like hot and damaged, that was like my goal in high school, which is so fucked up. It was literally like because these like hot, damaged party girls in media were getting male attention and men still liked them even though they're hot and damaged. And like that is the image I tried to portray in high school because that's how I thought I would get affection, is like pretending to be mentally ill. Guess what, bitch? You're on 150 milligrams of Zoloft, so joke's on you. Not so hot now. And of course, like eating disorders were really glorified. This is definitely more towards the Tumblr era, but we have to think about what led up to the Tumblr era of glorifying mental illness and eating disorders, and that was the McBling, Y2K, heroin chic, low-rise partying lifestyle of indie sleaze. Another huge issue with indie sleaze is the racism and cultural appropriation. I mean, using Native American motifs, using Romani motifs, using Aztec print, Arab scarves, Native American headdresses. This was common, not even just commonplace, this was encouraged. This was fashion back then. And that is like so horrible. And I forgot about the Arab scarf thing until I was reading articles about it, and I was like, oh my God, everyone did wear those scarves back then. Yeah, lots of cultural appropriation. And of course, Vice magazine, which was like the tenant of the indie sleaze era, one of the people who ran Vice magazine actually ended up being linked to alt-right, like, what is it called? Alt-right media, I guess, have like so much like thinly veiled racism under the guise of like making a joke on Vice magazine. So like Vice is now linked to the alt-right. American Apparel, which was a huge brand back then, was known for grooming young girls. Hi, I remember walking into the American Apparel on Miami Beach. I was 14. They asked me if I wanted to model there. I really, really wanted to. Tell my friend from middle school that I keep talking about, she said, oh yeah, my friend went to do a casting for them and they asked her to take her top off. And I talked to a bunch of other people in Miami and that was the same case. And Urban Outfitters, hella homophobic, hella racist, hella transphobic, just so problematic. So these things that we were glorifying, Vice, American Apparel, Urban Outfitters, are racist, pedophilic, and just horrible. So I'm a little bit confused. So much of this era is about like being groomed and partying way too much, which is just like a lot. Even if you watch Skins back then, like so many of them are hanging out with guys way older than them. To counterpoint on that, the time period between, this was from the Harper's Bazaar article, and this actually made me be a little bit more empathetic towards the indie sleaze era. And they said the time period between 2006 and 2012 was the last on earth before it became normal to walk around carrying a tiny computer with a professional grade camera in one's pocket. Nobody dressed up for the express purpose of being photographed, unless they were deliberately trying to get on Cobra Snake. The ineffable quality captured by the party photography of the era is a result of its candid nature. In a sense, indie sleaze is not about a desperate urge to party with pre-pandemic abandon, but nostalgia for a world in which you could still cheaply live on basically nothing. Thanks to rising inflation and a crazy housing market, cheap rent has gone the way of Betamax or charcoal irons, a thing of a distant past. Even Macklemore's 99-cent leopard mink would now cost at least $50 at the thrift shop, and that's if it hasn't been marked up to $200 by an enterprising Depop seller. And that made me feel a little bit more empathetic towards this indie sleaze era, because I was very confused as to why we were obsessed with it. Technology and all of that was still a very big part, this whole idea that like no one cared about technology. Girl, what? Like everybody was addicted to AIM and Facebook and MySpace. But I do get the fact that like influencers weren't really a thing at this point, and having a professional grade camera on your iPhone really does change the game. Dazed also had their 2 cents. An article in Dazed also had their 2 cents in this, and they said, the rise of shitposting and photo dumps hark back to the early days of social media, when everything felt much less high maintenance. People want a more nonchalant mashup of things that feel right in the moment, more playful and genuine. Indie Sleaze was ultimately about seeking pleasure, approaching life as a giant mashup, making the most out of a moment at a time when life was getting darker, but still wasn't quite as bad as today. This was the end of the Bush era, beginning of the Obama era, which obviously we all had a lot of hope. And we were in a recession, we were in a war, so fast fashion was everywhere. I mean, I shopped at Forever 21 and H&M religiously, and so we could like cheaply buy a bunch of clothes, which is also sort of a criticism, is like the rise of fast fashion. That wasn't a thing until the mid 2000s, because even in like the 90s, you would still get like Delia catalogs and stuff like that would still cost like a pretty penny. And then with like I remember the first time I went to a Forever 21, I saw an owl necklace. I was with my friend Lily, and I was like, what is this place? And that started my Forever 21 addiction for like 3 years. But that makes a lot of sense of like, yes, especially because we're in a recession now, going back to our recession era, just like, fuck it attitude. I mean, I think indie sleaze is uggo, fuggo, uggo, McGee. However, I do sort of love it. Honestly, who was going to tell me? I just put sunscreen on my face. Who was going to tell me? Back then, look, tacky sweater that was ugly. I got it on Cyber Monday at Urban Outfitters during my, English class online, I remember specifically. Yeah, tacky sweater that no one likes, that I just like because it's ugly. Pardon me? I look and dress exactly the same. It's so embarrassing. I'm like, ew, indie sleaze, gross. Bitch, look in the mirror, actually. So when you're building an indie sleaze look, it's about maximalism. It's about sort of looking vintage, it's over accessorizing, it's having a grungy like rock element to it somewhere in your outfit. It's like messy Serena Vanderwoodsen hair. It's about being very fun. I was obsessed with 17 magazine and Teen Vogue during these days, and it was all about colors and neons, and even if you were more sort of the grunge aspect of it, you still mixed tons of patterns and colors and accessories. I'm not really sure how to build an indie sleaze outfit because I still feel like this is so broad. It means a bunch of different things to different people, and there's so many different subgenres of indie sleaze, and the whole point of indie sleaze is that you were just dressing for you, and you were just putting on as many random things, and they were cheap looking, and looking cheap and tacky was sort of, that's what you wanted. Everyone was shopping at Forever 21, H&M, Wet Seal, American Apparel, Urban Outfitters. So you wanted, it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It was just sort of like what we wore. And in terms of like thrifting this look, there's a lot of ugly things at the thrift store just waiting for you. I mean, it's really, I think it's just about taking your own personal style. And you know how like Coco Chanel said, take an accessory off before you leave the house? Indie sleaze is like put 3 accessories on before you leave the house. Make sure you have like a hair accessory. Hair accessories are huge. Bows, headbands, weird hats, etc. But it's really like, it's hard for me. I don't know how to describe it because I lived through it, right? So like, I don't know how to tell you guys how to dress like indie sleaze or hipster, because it was just like, you were alt or you weren't. You were a hipster or you weren't. Like, that's the tea. And I was called a hipster like all through high school. They're like, Dan, you were such a hipster. You're such a hipster. And I was just like, what? ugh, and I dip dyed my hair. And actually after scrubbing through my Tumblr, I was like, bitch, you were a hipster. What the hell? You really thought you were doing things on Tumblr and Instagram, and you were not. You were nothing of the sort. Someone lied to you several times. I think in terms of like building an indie sleaze outfit, you really just like, you can't think about it. You can't care. I think the best way to do it is grab all of your favorite things from your closet and try to make an outfit out of it. You know, besides that, I would just look at people like Alexa Chung, Cassie from Skins, Effie from Skins, and like copy their style. This is like my very much Cassie from Skins outfit. Yeah, I'm sorry that my thrifting and getting the look portion of this video isn't very helpful. I just like genuinely don't know what to tell you guys. But I hope with the videos and the descriptions and the discussion that I provided, you guys did get a semblance of what indie sleaze is. Here are some photos of me between those between 2011 and 2013. It's cringe. I dyed my hair a lot. I really wanted to be like a bad girl, but I was too scared. So like I said, all my friends were bad girls and like posting pictures of smoking cigarettes and like skinny dipping. And I was like, I'll be in the background. Like I was just too shy to do it. So I was very much indie sleaze adjacent. So I apologize if I don't have much to say on this, but when in like 5 years, 3 or 4 years, when the Tumblr era like officially comes back, bitch, I got you. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching this video. What do you think indie sleaze is? Let me know below. Because it's such a mishmash of everything, it's just about being like, I guess like what they said, it's about being free, and it's about just like partying and having fun and just like wearing whatever the hell you want, no matter how tacky and cheesy and trashy and cheap it looks. And there's something to that. And since we're in a recession and everybody is broke, that sort of makes sense. Definitely comment down below what indie sleaze means to you, what you like about this aesthetic, what you don't, and what other aesthetics you'd like me to cover, specifically in the fall Halloween realm, because I'll be doing a bunch of Halloween costume videos coming up. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram because I like to have you guys put your input into different aesthetics so you guys can be a part of it, and I post content there almost every single day. So you should definitely check that out. And with that, have a happy day. Bye.